Steve Atkins. I made the start. Bizarre. Hi, Steve. Hello, Rick Banner, right around the neighborhood there in Connecticut. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Hope you're having some leftovers from Thanksgiving Day. It isn't just the turkey that is stuffed.
Right,
huh?
Right.
It isn't just the turkey that's stuffed in Connecticut. Rick Banner says, welcome, everybody, to show 787. And let's get this one across the proverbial starting line out there in Perth. And it's cold in Charleston, Baton Rouge says, and Gordon Smith says, good evening to everyone, just in time for more turkey. He's in Denmark. He must be celebrating a little Thanksgiving turkey. We have done that yesterday, didn't we, Julia?
Indeed.
What a nice dinner here. You came down from the Commodore's suite.
Oh, yes, I alighted.
And we had a nice
yeah.
turkey dinner and watched a couple of football games, the NFL, including the Detroit Lions barely hanging on and winning their game. 787 is our show today for Friday the 29th of November, 2024. A warm welcome to all of you. It's a kind of an okay day here in San Francisco. Julie, looking out the window here in the studio.
Crisp, cool, and clear.
Julie Vatican, of course, the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. My co-host extraordinaire, longtime friend. My landlady, I better be nice to her.
Yeah, I better.
Better be nice to her. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, as you all know, Turkey Tom, from representing the Balboa Yacht Club, although also a proud member of the St. Francis and a few other clubs, Fort Worth Boat Club, the Istad Yacht Club, the Portage Yacht Club, and a few others around the world. Let's get on with it. Thank you to all of you who sent us happy Thanksgiving greetings yesterday, and they're still coming in today. I even got one, Julia, from the President of the United States. He sent us, he sent us.
Oh, isn't that nice?
He sent us Thanksgiving greetings. Doesn't appear to know where he is or what time it is. A poor guy. I mean, you called it 2 years ago that it was elder abuse.
Yeah.
And God knows, I don't know who's running the country, but I sure hope it's
somebody
who's not going to get us in trouble, more trouble than we already appear to be in, particularly in Europe right now with Ukraine and the Russians. Let's hope that just all calms down and doesn't further escalate.
Indeed.
Our Fozy, you know who that is, Julia?
No.
That is Joe Holtzman, who yesterday had surgery, not yesterday, I beg your pardon, on Wednesday had surgery on his knee. That is a photo from yesterday. Joe up in Estes, Colorado, was back on his feet the day after and getting high marks from his PT, the physical therapist.
I got to take message.
And saying, get well soon. He's back on his walker, having had his knee replaced, apparently. I don't know if it was a replacement or a fix. But Joe, hope you're well and continuing to do well. Best wishes from all of us here at Sailing Illustrated. Julia, what are we celebrating today?
What
is that? From the Australian, the big newspaper down there. We are celebrating, as they are, as a good bit of the world, as it turns out.
Black Friday.
That is a headline from the paper on Friday. It's Saturday morning down there now, but thousands rushed to shopping centers in Sydney and Melbourne to shop Black Friday sales. I didn't know how broadly this Black Friday madness is celebrated. There's a photo from the UK in the Standard. And of course, you all know that Black Friday is the Friday after Thanksgiving in the U.S. It traditionally marks the start of the Christmas shopping season, although I think that's been going on for some weeks now. And is the busiest shopping day of the year in the U.S. Do you know what the busiest shopping day is in the U.K.?
Boxing Day.
Right, exactly. Well done. Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, although, as you can see in this photo, they're getting into it as well. It is from the UK. Many stores offer highly promoted sales at heavily discounted prices and often open early, sometimes as early as midnight the night before or even on Thanksgiving. Some stores' sales continue to Monday, Cyber Monday, or for a week or more, Cyber Week. In fact, we've got sales been going. I bought a refrigerator
That's right.
last night. They called this morning to say, I bought it online.
Yeah.
A new refrigerator here for the Beach Street Yacht Club, and they called this morning, said, you want it delivered today? And I said, no way, can't do it today. We're on the air. I didn't say that. I said, not today, but how about tomorrow? No problem.
Woo.
So that was pretty good.
And that is nice.
Just continuing on with this, I didn't know, maybe you all knew, but it's Black Friday now is a thing in Australia, Canada, the UK, Ireland, Kosovo, Liechtenstein, Germany, Poland, Romania, Italy, Greece, New Zealand, India, Malta, Norway, Sweden, Finland, France, Spain, Iran, Israel, Brazil, the Netherlands, South Africa, Mexico, where it's El Buen Fin, the good end, the fin de semana is weekend in Spanish, and increasingly in other parts of the world, according to Wikipedia.
Wow.
So if you're celebrating it, Bravo Zulu. I don't go to a mall. Do you go to any malls? Do you go shopping on Good Friday?
No, it's too many people.
There's too much work. Now, this, according to the Daily Mail today in the UK, Brits to splurge more than $3 billion today as shoppers rush to bag Christmas deals in Black Friday sales, but many prefer to buy from the comfort of their own homes. Yes, Mark Hollins is saying, Mark
Yes.
R. Holland, he's saying every place is Black Friday. Every place that is Amazon is.
Yeah.
Hakan Hawkinson, yeah, he thinks Black Friday in Kosovo might mean something a little different. Oh, dear. Clay Embley is saying hi from Kentucky. I wonder if he's shopping today. The Brits to splurge. That's hard to believe, but talking about comfort of their own homes, that's my idea of a Black Friday sale. Julia.
Me too.
Is getting on Amazon or online otherwise. And I didn't buy the refrigerator on Amazon. I actually bought it on the Airport Appliances website, and they had a deal.
Yeah.
And it was a good deal. One can only hope. So here we go. Black Friday on Amazon, and even the sailing business.
Black Friday is here. Over 30% of yachts for next season get booked now. Grab discounts up to 60% off.
Wow.
Who would have
Get these
known,
deals by
Julie?
November
No.
29th on our website.
SeaRadar.com. They are definitely not a sponsor of today's show, but even that came up as a Black Friday promotion. We've been telling you about Sharon Green and Ultimate Sailing, our Fozy, who does this calendar and more every year, but she was on the show, and still people are talking about what a great show that was. Julia, I think you would agree.
Oh, absolutely. And as well as I know her in her photography, I still just ooh and ah at it.
I got several notes over the last couple of days. Hey, I just caught up with the Sharon. In fact, Alistair Murray, among others. So
Yeah.
I just caught up on that show. What a great show it was. And indeed it was. She's still making that calendar of hers available at discount to the Fozy. To those of you watching, anybody watching, use code SAIL15 and get 15% off your entire order, whether it's a puzzle or a bag or her Ultimate Sailing Calendar 2025. You can buy those for everybody in the family and have your Christmas shopping done in one fell swoop.
Right.
She's not sponsoring us either.
No.
But we do like to use some of her photos or fine photos in Bravo Zulu to her. So we're celebrating all that. And of course, all of you, those of you who give us $1 or $2 or more per month to keep us on the air so that our studio works and we don't have any technical problems. Sailing Illustrated. Patrons, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. And thanks to all of you for your support. It is very much appreciated. We're going to get to this main story today. Sail GP in Dubai, and now the youth. We got a nice report about the youth worlds, the youth match racing worlds going on in the KSA, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It started today, in fact. It was on for a few days, Monday. And then the women's match racing worlds takes place after that. And I think it's looking more and more like the America's Cup. The 38th edition thereof is going to be in the Middle East as well, whether Saudi Arabia or Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Bahrain even. we shall see. But let's get to our Vendée Globe report and catching up now on the 10th edition. It is the 20th day of the Vendée Globe. They having started up in Les Sables d'Olonne, and they have reached, the lead boat or two have reached now the Cape of Good Hope. And here is still the leader, Charlie Dallan, first to Cape of Good Hope again.
Right.
I feel like I've been teleported here from the equator. It's gone so fast. And it has indeed. It's really impressive how quickly we have done this section to the Cape. I have lose, I think that didn't translate well. Yeah, lost all sense of time and space. I am only now realizing if everything goes well this afternoon, we will pass the Cape of Good Hope, Charlie said earlier today, and in fact, he now has passed. This came out this afternoon about 4.5, 5 hours ago. Charlie Dallan on Massif Santé Prévoyance, did I say that right, Julia?
Yes.
Passes the Cape of Good Hope in the lead. This Friday today, Charlie Dallan passed the Cape of Good Hope at 15:45 UTC. It is now 21:12, so that's about 6 hours ago. Leading the fleet of the 10th Vendée Globe, he reached his first of the 3 Great Capes, and the other 2, Julia, are...
Good Hope.
Well, you've done that one. The other 2, Australia's Cape Lewin,
Cape
Southwest Corner. You always forget that one.
I do.
Cape Lewin, I remember only because I've been there. We went down there and swatted the flies away and saw where the Indian Ocean meets the Southern Ocean. And that was back during...
I've actually been there, but I had no idea the name.
It's a cool spot. Anybody that's in Perth, it's a drive down there for an hour or two. I can't remember, maybe more. But everybody that gets to Perth for one reason or another ought to go down there and have a look, in my humble opinion. Mm-hmm. And then after the Cape Lewin, of course, we go to Paul Kayart's favorite Cape.
Yeah.
Cape Corny.
Yeah.
The Corny or the Corn, Cape Horn in South America, one of the roughest patches of water in the world.
Although, fortunately, the 3 times I've been around, it's been very nice.
Have you gone around the Cape?
Yeah.
That Cape Horn?
Mm-hmm.
In a cruise ship?
Yeah.
Oh, well. You didn't go through that in passage, the Drake Passage or whatever it's called down there?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well. Charlie Dallan is... they're about a third of the way through the race already in 20 days. So, it's not exactly a record-setting pace, as it turns out.
So the compromise
but here's the weather report.
With the wind speed and the wave action is really critical for our sailors, especially now as we come in to this new phase into the Southern Ocean. As we said, we're going to be passing the Cape of Good Hope sometime this afternoon, ahead of the current record from 2016 and held by Alex Thompson. They've been sailing, once you're past this front fleet that are now positioning themselves for the next low pressure, this back group are trying to move away from this high pressure down south so that they can position themselves for the new low that's coming. Our daggerboard fleet, where Conrad Coleman was, is still enjoying some sunshine, pushing south, and will have a much more traditional route. As we look at this current, this Agulhas current that we were talking, rich and abundant with nutrients for the fauna down there, you can see it wiggles around, and we can see our boats are trying to position themselves in a favorable turn of this current that undulates as it goes along. And Charlie was saying that he could feel every hour when it changes when he was in the path of the current or out of the path of the current. So this is what they're trying to look at. It's going to be multiple jibes. It's going to be very busy, lighter conditions, so a lot of sail changes as well. Somebody that was a little bit frustrated about moving off the front of the pack is Pip Hare, and she talked about what it means now of her frustrations and how she's going to position herself.
Okay, there's Dee Kafari with the current kind of weather report and the big picture report. And I don't believe they're ahead of the pace. She said they were going to be ahead of Alex Thompson's pace, or that Charlie Dallan was, but I don't believe they are. Let's have a look here. Here's the tracker from a couple hours. That's just a couple hours ago, as you can see out front now.
Yeah.
Again in the lead as he passes Ted Ryman to port and the Cape there in the Republic of South Africa. You see that little red dot right here?
Uh-huh.
That little red dot is, I think, That's Armel Leclerc, his Banque Populaire, his record. Now, maybe that's okay. I'm just thinking out loud here. Maybe that, no, that is also a Vendée Globe record. That is a Vendée Globe boat. So I think they are not anywhere close to the 2016 lead, but maybe she knows, in that report, knows something I don't know. We shall see.
Yes.
But any of you Fozy that might know will take a look in the comments as well. Now, here is coming up.
It's Friday the 29th of
the report for today.
In the Vendée Globe, and Charlie Darlin has got 3 boats on his tail as he heads down into the deep south. Today we'll take a look at the tracker, see where they all are, also looking at that leaderboard, then looking also at the forecast and what could be a big Wednesday coming up next week. Also a bit with visualizations, looking at Savvy Navi app and how the weather looks on that. And then also a bit on the scientific experiments and data that is collected during the Vendée Globe. Looking on the Initiatives Kerr website of Sam Davies, we can see the fleet now spread across the South Atlantic. Let's zoom in on the leaders as they approach the longitude of the Cape of Good Hope. And we can see there Charlie Darlin still in the lead, but right on his tail are Thomas Rouillon, Johan Richomme, and Sebastian Simon. Charlie Darlin must be feeling the pressure. Those 3 just will not let him get away. Looking at the 10 AM CET ranking on the official Vendée Globe website, behind those top 4 who are separated by just 50 nautical miles, we can see Nicholas Lundven in 5th place, beside Jeremy Bayou on Charal, with Sam Goodchild a little bit further back in 7th, and Yannick Besthaven in 8th. Paul Milhat is 9th. And then Sam Davies quite a bit further back, now 706 nautical miles behind the leader in 10th place. If we scroll down the rankings a bit further, we can see Jean Le Cam. If you look beside him, he is missing that little red tick. What that means is he is the first non-foiler in the fleet in 20th place.
Richard Gladwell, sailworld.com's New Zealand editor, has once again been working with Predict Winds to take a look at Charlie Darlin's course in the upcoming days. And here we can see them heading towards the ice boundary, but it is on Sunday where a range of options are available to him. And you can see the boats there as the black course, the black line there, but the various other options, the dots moving across the screen. And here he has to transition a light wind period, but look to the left of your screen and you can see a huge low pressure system building. Now it is as that builds, you can see there on Wednesday, the 4th of December, he could be hitting some huge speeds. The wind will be gusting up to nearly 40 knots and behind him really extreme winds, which the other boats will have to contend with. And you can see here at this finish point, the routing options, then the dots all arrive after what we think is the best predicted option. But of course, forecasts change, so we'll see how it plays out. I really like looking at the different visualizations of weather and using my regular navigation app, Savvy Navi. I actually got Chris Watley, who is part of the team, to create these animations for me from the app, using just on an iPad. And it's fascinating taking a look at the different wind areas and how you can take a look at those to see where it's going to be the strongest winds. And here you can see him moving over time to create different weather pictures using the weather model they use.
Sam Goodchild deployed a scientific tool in the South Atlantic yesterday. Here he is explaining what it is and why he's doing it.
Hello, so we're here with the Argos floater, a scientific tool that we're going to throw in the water here in the South Atlantic. So this is a tool that's going to spend its life in the water. It's going to go down to about 1,000 meters. It'll spend 10 days at 1,000 meters. It goes down to 2,000 meters, and then it comes back up to the surface and it sends its data back to land. So it's measuring water salinity, it's measuring deep sea currents because it's down at 1,000 meters for 10 days. And it sends all this data back to scientists who can then use the data to learn more about our oceans. So we're throwing it in here and I'll send a message to Ikram Air saying it's in the water, and scientists can do their job. See ya.
I've followed all the checks, we've got a beep on, so we're ready to go. Come. Nice, okay. Time is 15:37. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching today. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel using the button down here or the subscribe button on the YouTube page. And also take a look at sailworld.com and yachtsandyachting.com for all the latest news.
Thanks to them both, to Sail World and Yachts and Yachting. These reports, I think, have been very interesting, don't you think?
Absolutely. I keep going back to the olden days when we had no
you? Going back to the olden days?
when I had no idea.
You and I both do.
You know, what would we done if we'd known where all the wind patterns were?
Well, exactly.
And
when you were out booze cruising from one continent to the other.
I don't know. We weren't racing.
Well, exactly. So it still helps to know where the storms are.
Yes.
Nice stuff, and a nice follow-up there. And I just give you the results again. And you can see that Charlie, Thomas, it's the same crowd. Jan, how do you say that in French, Julia? Jan?
I think so.
Sebastian and Nicholas are the top 5, and then below them, Jeremy Bayou. These are all the favorites. Sam Goodchild, we've been talking about. I mistakenly referred to Sam when I meant Conrad the other day. Thanks for helping me on that. The many foes of you chimed in. Yannick and Paul and Samantha, the top woman, in 10th. And then Justine Metro, another woman, Boris Herman, who we're going to feature in a moment, Clarice Kremer, Romaine, Benjamin Dutro, Pip Hare.
Oh, yes.
Is in the hunt, but she is well back. You can see her distance to the leader is now over 1,000 nautical miles, and indeed even further back. Jean Lacombe is the oldest skipper in the race, 21st. And our friend, we become a fan of Conrad Coleman, who grew up in New Zealand, now lives in the U.S. He's in 30th place, some ways back. And now, speaking of Boris Herman, he's been becalmed, and I think he's back in the breeze now. But this was a report just from a few hours ago, and it's a little bit longer than we normally play, five-ish minutes. But look at the frustration.
Yeah.
Look at the frustration.
I can imagine.
Dage Malizia. We will find the wind. The wind eventually will come back. I'm sure about that. Look here. The water. I don't see wind here, but I see something there. Let me find it again. Where was it? I just saw her, Justine. There. She's there. So that's our northeast. I see a small black dot. You see it too? Look there. There, you see it? Yeah, I see her on the camera as well. That's Justine. Well done, Justine. Again, it's a dark stripe there. The horizon looks a bit dark there. It's even rain, maybe. So some things are happening, but not much. How's the other side? Well, this is what a boat looks like in no wind. And it's a not so nice noise. The foils are nice bathing platforms. Could actually go swimming. Ooh. Don't see much wind there neither. Unfortunately, I don't see Justine on the AS. I wish I could see whether she moves or not. Hey, this is scary and beautiful at the same time. I'm a very emotional, sensitive person, so it impresses me a lot. It's not that I just sit down and wait for the wind. I'm emotionally agitated. I mean, there's a lot going through your head when this happens. It's kind of beautiful, impressive, the ocean so calm. But then this is of course annoying, but that I can ignore. But sitting inside the boat becomes difficult. Like looking at the screen, looking at the tracker. Such a beautiful preparation, a new boat prepared for 4 years. The others go at 20 knots and here we are. It makes me a bit sad. I wish I could cry sometimes. But most of the time I deal with that emotion quite well, and I see the positive. See, I'm here with a good boat, I'm doing what I need to do this race. And I can't change the position I am in. This is the weather at this position. Also, well, I was just a few days ago with Benjamin Dutroux, and he's a few hundred miles further back. So, does it really matter? It's just a game. But yeah, it takes some conscious mind work to not fall into the trap of negative, but see the fascination. See these incredible lights. Look, it's like a Nordic light. I see skies like this in Norway or the north of the North Sea or northern Germany in February. Cool. Send me some wind.
Send him some
later.
wind.
Yes.
I'm so impatient. You know how impatient I am.
Yeah.
It would drive me crazy to be drifting, slatting about.
It's driving him crazy.
Well, it is. It really, he's going to handle it. He's a smart boy. And Boris Herman, that report from him just a few hours before we went there, a couple, 3 hours ago, and compared to that 30 knot
Yeah.
these guys are going so fast, so much of the time, most of the time, scary fast. And then,
Yes.
of course, you do have some holes in the breeze like that. Julia, we should go to the comments. The comments are piling up way back to when we were talking about Black Friday. Gordon Smith says, I went shopping with my 10-year-old today for the first ever Gordon's first ever Black Friday. Bought a sandwich and a power shake, whatever that is. We left quickly and went to pony riding lessons, perhaps again in 10 years. And I'm sure that's way above the comments there. We'll come back to some more in a minute after we do John Emmett's report. Sadly, his wrist is not well. So we've got the coaching corner with John Emmett get to the front of the fleet. And here's his report as he emerges from the horse pistol this morning.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. So it's time for a quick update. You might be able to tell in the background, I'm at the Dorchester County Hospital. Just came to have my wrist checked out. And the first thing I have to say, considering surgery, it's a really serious thing because no outcome is ever guaranteed, and surgery really should be the last resort in looking at an injury. But if you do have to have surgery, my recommendation is always sooner rather than later. And it's one of the biggest decisions that you're likely to make in your career, and putting it in an appropriate time so you have good rest and recovery is very important too. So I had a MRI when I did the last update, and the results of that are back. And unfortunately, it's bad news. Looks like quite a lot of arthritis has set in, which probably means need to have bones removed in the wrist at some point, wrist replacement. Whether that's next week, next year, next decade, of course the question, because the arthritis is only going to get worse. In the meantime, I have a lot of acupuncture, deep tissue work, and these things to keep the mobility in the wrist, although I can't actually put weight on it, so it's a good excuse why I can't do any more press-up challenges if we have the next 30 press-ups for 30 days or whatever trend comes around. So yeah, I mean, it's funny, you always look at these things and you think, wow, poor me, but then there's going to be people who are doing the Paralimpic who don't actually even have that particular limb. And I'm so lucky to have had a sailing career which went this long, but because you've got that issue now within the bone, which is only going to get worse as I age, you can't do that ligament reconstructive surgery. That window's passed. And I actually believe it was going back to coaching up at South Shields 25 years ago, and having a few drinks and playing table football, and in the effort to win I slammed the wrist hard in. I can't even remember if I got the point, but the next day, and this is going back to coaching with large VHS video cameras, so you've got several kilos on your shoulder to do a video recording, and I couldn't actually lift anything with my wrist the next day. It was very painful, very sore, and I ended up driving the rib with one hand. And yeah, if you have pain, your body's trying to tell you something's gone wrong and you need to rest and recover. So I think probably I need to try and look at having a bit more rest in my routines, because it's just giving my body that chance to recover. And then I guess at some point would look at having some treatment done. Maybe when I get to the end of my sailing career, I guess it means you end up shortening. I'm trying to think how big a scaphoid bone is. You probably end up shortening the wrist by 10, 20 millimeters, which sounds quite a lot to me, really. So lots to take in, but as always, try and keep people informed. And I'm a big believer in just making the most of any situation, and you know, each day you live it like it could be your last. And there's so many opportunities now in sailing. I just need to make sure this isn't something that stops me doing what I love. Very pleased that at least I had the information, because it's better to know things again sooner rather than later, so you can make an informed choice. And yeah, it's frustrating in a way. It's taken so long, but at least I know what's going on now, and it's amazing. I'm always very interested in the MRIs. You can see, you know, looking deeply into the body, exactly what's going on. Just hope it doesn't stop me riding, because that holding the cycle handlebars I have in the past felt pretty yeah, pretty uncomfortable. So it's a good excuse for not going down bumpy roads. But I think there are things that can keep the inflammation down in the body. Turmeric, or to be more precise, we're looking at curcumin. I think I've got that right. So there's anti-inflammatories to keep my body going for as long as possible. And it's actually coming up to the last racing in the end of the season with Castle Cove. And I think next year going to be even more enthusiastic to go sailing. But now I think I'm going to jump in my car and make my way back to Weymouth. looking forward to the next show. Any questions? Very happy to take them. And I always think as a coach, it's always good to have these experiences, because then you can helpfully help your athlete, and prevention is always better than cure.
Prevention is always better than cure. He almost sounded like he was a bit in shock when he came out of the hospital.
Yeah, I think he probably was.
My wrist is in pretty tough shape.
Yeah.
And of course, what is it that causes inflammation in the body? It's sugar and alcohol and carbs. So he may have to think about that as well. Huh? What did you say? What was kind of that facial reaction?
Because it depends on who you listen to.
Well, it's not who you listen to. We know they're inflammatory. Fog Machine, talking about inflammatory, he deserves a shake of the finger, Julia. He's saying up in the comments way before, he says, when they were talking about that routing video that was provided by Richard Gladwell, by our Fozy Richard Gladwell.
Yeah.
And they were showing that in the Vendée Globe video.
Right.
You see what Fog Machine said? He said, solo sailors have limited routing options. A little play on words there, Julia, that deserves a finger wag for
only if you're looking for one.
Lance Burke. Lots of comments. Find the thermocline and then you'll find the submarines. Ha ha, that's J. Frederick Bland, the former submariner in our U.S. Navy. He's following your football game, by the way. Stanford is playing San Jose State as we speak.
Exactly as we speak.
We speak. And Andrew Pindar, congrats to Luke Van den Hede. Is it too early to nominate Skip Novak for Lifetime Achievement? There were lots of pictures, Julia, of that Pindar Award, which is to those that go around the Cape, and there's the Cape Society, and Andrew was presenting that award on behalf of his company that he's done some years now.
Oh, good.
I don't have a picture of it, but yeah, I agree. Lance Burke, nice comment. I would love to see several women in the top 10. John Emmett is saying, yes, indeed. Graham Sweety's finally joining us from up in Scotland. He's finally commenting. Yeah, he does look agitated, Stinger. I agree. I think that it was in reference to John. Imagine, Clark Chapin says, if Admiral Halsey had known where the storms were in December of 44 when Typhoon Cobra sank 3 U.S. destroyers from the Third Fleet, Philippines.
I keep thinking about that all this information is wonderful.
Blake Middleton agrees with me. He says that's he's back on that video with Boris. That's a painful video to watch indeed. Time to switch on cable and catch a game, he thinks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what else? Yeah, most of sailing occurs under 10 knots, although they had pretty good breeze in Jeddah today, or off the coast there. We'll get to that. And Alan Long is saying, that's how I kicked colon cancer. I think he's talking about sugar and alcohol and inflammatories. I don't know about that. Lots of medical advice on here, on Medical Illustrated. Graham Sweeney says, my Black Friday shop consisted of a flush handle for the toilet, and a spot of paint on the truck, 8 pounds for the handle, 54 pounds for the dot of paint. Bargains. What else? And lots of comments. Over 100 comments.
Lots of other things too, Dr. Eamon.
Yeah, so Mark Holland says, I thought I had arthritis, but the doctor told me it was only onset rigor mortis. I hope that's not the case for John.
Oh.
And Andrew Pindar saying, happy to send Boris, Justine, and others a full front of wind after all at Pindar by Manuport Logistics. They've had that link up now. We aim to move the world of sailing. I hope you can move them a little bit. Should have stuck with poo sticks, Fog Machine is saying to John Emmett with his wrist problems.
Yeah.
John's concern and the threat to his career and sailing activities is palpable. Keep him in your prayers. Good point, Clark Chabin. We're not making fun of John. He is clearly hoping that this doesn't get worse and that indeed he can repair it so he can keep on sailing. John needs a proximal row carpectomy. Steve Ross. I had the same surgery and it was pretty good. I had it done 14 years ago and I can still sail. Have you ever heard, Julia, of a proximal row carpectomy?
No.
My goodness. We got some smart people on here, but we say that every show.
We do. And I keep thinking that medicine is moving so quickly. Who knows? In in a year or two.
Well,
what's gonna be
that's the
available.
trade-off. As you know, no sugar and alcohol, then I'm on track. Hawkinson says quick surgery, but that's the problem. We would never mock John. I agree, Ted Ryman. We would not do that. But that's the problem. The trade-off, because things do improve, and especially this day and age, they improve.
Right.
Maybe not by the month or even let alone by the week, but by the year.
Yes.
6 months, sometimes it really dramatically improves.
Yes.
A different technique, different surgeries, different treatments, non-surgical intervention.
And different personalities or doctors come to fore.
Well, exactly. But then the trade-off is you want to get it done while you're fit and younger and fitter,
Yeah.
rather than waiting till you get old and dissipated like we are.
I was gonna
Or
say
at least
I don't think I'm gonna get younger anymore.
Like I am. I mean, it's like my dad with his heart. He's got a leaky valve, and at age 91, are they going to go in there and fix that? Not really, because the surgery might kill him.
Yeah.
So that's an extreme example. John, we're all cheering for you.
We are.
And maybe we're rooting for you too. Rooting for you. And it sounds like Lily is headed to China. I saw in one of his comments, the trouble with bourbon cream is that both ingredients suffer. Hawkinson talking about Clayt Embley. By the way, we got a package of booze just before we went to air.
Oh, we did.
I haven't opened it, so I'm not sure from whom. Several people were sending us booze.
Woo.
For the
I may have to
holidays.
drink it all myself.
You could. I'm off it. I'm done for a year, over a year now. I can say I've over a year. John Emmett, that is Get to the Front of the Fleet with John Emmett Sailing. He is our regular reporter who's now being emulated by others, including our report from the KSA, and you'll hear Alistair when we have his AAAA in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Alistair says, I could get up and walk around like John Emmett does, but I'd rather sit here in my comfortable chair at his holiday home out in Mattung, from whence he's reported. Blake Middleton, I trust that the musical world will always improve. It's too bad it hadn't happened enough in my MS. I think he means multiple sclerosis world. Such is life.
Yeah.
Fog Machine says if you broil oysters basted with bourbon cream, it improves all three.
Oh, well, that's a good idea.
Sooner than later, John Emmett is saying. Well, okay, let's carry on here and get to the youth worlds, which are taking place. They started racing today in the KSA. There's a photo of, I think, the American team training out there in the Red Sea in the last couple of days. They've been there for 2, 3, 4 days now. And it's a big event. It's the Youth Match Racing Worlds put on by World Sailing. There are 12 teams from 9 nations participating. And then as soon as this regatta, they've got Far East, what are they, 20-somethings, is the fleet of boats they have there. And as soon as this regatta is over, they have the Women's Match Racing Worlds taking place also there off Jeddah. And it's looking more and more like there is a lot of yacht racing going on in the Middle East when you consider last weekend we had Dubai and the Sail GP, and then Sail GP is going to wrap their season up there in the Middle East as well. Thank you, John Emmett. Far East 28. J. Frederick Blandis say, ugly keelboats. He's tongue-in-cheek, I think, there with that. So this is the scene there. They've got 12 really good teams, most of whom we know, most of whom have matriculated, Julie, if that's the right word, through the Governor's Cup, including Josh Hyde from NZL, Cole Tapper from AUS, Timothée Rossi, who is one of our favorites. He from France.
Right.
I don't know. How do you pronounce Ange? You say Ange Delercy in French? How do you say that, Julia?
Or Delaris.
Delaris. I don't know him, but he's a former world champion in the World Youth Match Racing Championship.
Okay.
One of the most polite, decent, fine young sailors, Tom Higgins from Ireland, who we also know from the Gov Cup last year, and Justin Callahan, a Fozy from the States here, who's sailing with his brother Mitchell. They're all A students at Harvard. Marbella Marlowe, who's at Stanford, Julia, and I don't know Michael Kirkman and Spencer Kriegstein, but they are superb sailors sailing for the USA in this championship. We have a report from them. I don't know Noah Malpat, but the Kiwis, Julia, have not only these 2 teams from the RNZ's program, but they also have 3 sailors on the Saudi Arabian team. So they've got some kids sailing on that team as well. And you notice the French have 2 teams. Match racing, youth match racing has become a big deal in France as well. And of course,
I love the idea and the execution of match racing.
Well, and this thanks to not only the Governor's Cup, which goes back now almost 60 years, and Andy Rose and others who've led that,
right,
but also the Harkin and the what's the other one? The Harkin Down and Under, and the couple, 3 others of these match racing championships Australia and New Zealand have been hosting for years. The Warren Jones from memory. But going on there, not only is there the Noah Malpat team, but also Nicolas Bernal, who we've seen twice at Gov Cup, and he's from Brazil, and the kid's a former Lightning Junior World Champion, and he's there, and he's getting better and better with each passing year, as is his English. Demetrio Sposato, that's Italy. Nice to see them there. I don't recognize any of the other names. And then, of course, one of our all-time favorites, Marius Vesterland, from Sweden, and Marius is not only a great character. He's going to take over for Andy Rose as the host of the Monday night. We think he would be great. He's got a twinkle in the eye, and a very quick-witted kid, and a hell of a good sailor, Marius Vesterland. I don't know Matthias Rossing from Denmark. That is the Danish flag, right?
Yep.
Carolyn Mikkelsen, and I know. Well, the names, but I don't know Matthias. Perhaps Gordon Smith knows him. And then there's the home team. They're entitled to an entry rather than a resume. And that's Saleh, I guess you'd say Al Huwail. And there's some Kiwis sailing with him. The opening ceremony was the night before last, I believe, and also the skipper's meeting. We have a quick video on that. Yeah, that was interesting music. And that may have been last night. That may have been Thursday night, that opening ceremony and skipper's meeting. But I thought that was a good, quick video. And by the way, you'll only see all of this here on Sailing Illustrated. I went to great lengths not to pat myself on the back any more than I usually do. But thanks again to Fozy and to doing the research. We have these cool videos and these submissions from the teams from the yacht clubs who sent me things, including the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, who sent this article that's running just now, just before I went to air, celebrating Cole Tapper's team, who went 6-0 today on day 1. And that there's some talent on that team.
Absolutely. As
there is on all these, but particularly this team. The leading performance on day 1 today, Friday, came from the Australian team representing the Cruising Yacht Club of Oz, led by skipper Cole Tapper, the team of Jack Freewind, Hamish Voss, Chelsea Williams, and Joel Bischel. Had a strong opening day, scoring all 6 wins from their opening 6 races in the qualifying stage. They do a 1 round robin and then advance to quarterfinals. Their performance has set the tone for the rest of the competition as they aim to maintain their momentum through the knockout rounds. And of course, it's bad luck to win. Well, it's often considered to win. If you win all the round robin races, it's a bit of a jinx. But I'm happy to win all the races. Let's get going and keep going.
But didn't whoever won all of them last time come good?
Well, no. I mean, Jeffrey won in this past Governor's Cup, for example. I think he won all of his from memory, won all of the rounds robin, and then he got beaten by Cole Tapper in the finals of the Gov Cup. So there is, some people consider it a jinx, and it's more for laughs than it is anything else. But while the Aussies made a strong start, other teams, including the defending world champ, this kid, I don't know him, Ange Delers from France, and New Zealand, Josh Hyde will tell you about in a moment, also signaled clear intent to be amongst the front runners heading into stage 2. See, I got both of our mics turned off. I couldn't hear my sneeze. So Bravo Zulu to this is a hell of a good team, and Bravo Zulu to them, also to Josh Hyde and his team. And thanks again to the RNZ for sending along this link. New Zealand's Josh Hyde's Waitemata racing team, which includes Cody Coughlin, Mason Mulcahy, Sophia Higgett, and Zachary Fong. There's some familiar names in that group as well. So Bravo Zulu to them. They're in the hunt. They're tied for second with a couple other teams. And, I mean, this is a real event. This is a real proper match racing event. And they had plenty of breeze today. It had upwards of 20 knots later in the afternoon. Here is the day one video, which you probably also won't find many other places except here on Sailing Illustrated.
Yay.
I am proud to be presenting Team Saudi for the first time during the Match Racing World Champion in Jeddah. It's great to see the champion happening in Saudi Arabia. I wish all the best for all the teams.
A new culture, a new sailing culture being inculcated. Is that the right word?
Yes.
I have to check with my Stanford grammarian. Nice to see. Gordon Smith will be happy with that. And there are, you saw the standings there in that video at the end. A nice mix of Saudi, Middle Eastern, Arabian music, and some Western rap type, house type, whatever that is, techno music, Julia. There are the standings. And you can see Cole Tapper there second from the top. I don't know why they put, this is matchracingresults.com, they put them in this particular order, but Cole Tapper is on 6, undefeated today, 100% of his races he has won. Then there's a 3-way tie for second. That's my silver arrows. I hope you like that graphic, Julia.
Yes.
A gold arrow and then 3 silver arrows. Josh,
well done.
Timothy, and Ange tied for second on 4 wins. And then below them, there's 4 teams with the bronze arrows tied for what? 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. But Justin Callahan, Nicholas Bernal, Demetrio Sposato, and dear Marius Vesterland, the character that he is, on bronze, tied for third. And they're probably all those 8 teams are probably going to go forward to the quarterfinals. Well, they finish the round robin up tomorrow after sailing each of the other teams. So that's 11 matches, 12 teams total. Then they will begin the quarterfinals on what day is that? Sunday, I guess. And then semifinals and finals. I think they wrap up Monday, if not Tuesday, if not Monday. And then the women's, as I said, the women's match racing world starts soon thereafter. Now, speaking of the American team, this is a photo that Jeffrey Peterson Arfosi, who is the coach of the team, he took this photo a 3 days ago, and that's Justin Callahan, his brother Mitchell Callahan, who are the twins. You wouldn't know it. They're obviously fraternal twins, not identical, because Justin on the second from the right with the frizzy stand-up hair, and then Mitchell Callahan, his brother, in the middle, the tall dude. And they're both at Harvard, and they're both virtually straight-A students, very bright kids. Their dad, Paul Callahan's a dear friend, also helped send some info to me We're getting it from all over, Julia, which is much appreciated.
Perfect. Yeah.
Clubs, classes, parents. Marbella Marlowe there on the right. I think she's the Stanfordite, Julia, very bright, along with Michael Kirkman and Spencer Kriegstein.
Yes.
Top-notch collegiate team, one of the best teams. If you took those kids and put them in college, well, they're all collegiate sailors.
Yeah. They'd
be among the very best teams in the country. There is young Jeffrey, as we used to call him. He's not so young anymore, senior at Georgetown University. He is the coach. Smart move by Justin Callahan to take Jeffrey as their coach because he is a former winner of the World Youth Match Racing Championship. Won it in, from memory, I think in Italy a 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Won the Gov Cup twice and won that event. And these kids are all getting quiet inquiries now from the American Cup boat race.
Oh, good.
From teams future, present, and future. So bravo Zulu to all them. And here's a video that Jeffrey shot with Justin Callahan just before we went to air this evening, Friday evening, in Jeddah.
Hey everyone, Justin Callahan here, skipper for the USA at the 2024 Youth Match Race World Championship here in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Day was very hard. Everyone was close across the board. Races were tight when the boat handling was good. These Far East 28s, they're a lot to handle, so if you have a boat handling error, it can cost you a lot. Great wind today. Filled all the way up to over 20 knots in the afternoon with some big waves, so it was lots of fun. Ended the day 3-3 overall, but simple boat handling errors and simple missed ley lines what kept us out of it. All 3 races that we lost, we were winning, so we're feeling really good going into tomorrow. Got another 5 races to go in the round robin, so we're thankful for everyone cheering us on back home, and we're ready to go tomorrow.
And thanks again to Jeffrey and to Justin for that. But I was talking with one of the parents, I won't say whom, but she, you can imagine who it was. She said, you know, I was lucky to get, as a kid, get out of the OC, out of Orange County to go to an event, sailing or otherwise. And here these kids are getting to go to Gov Cup and to Down Under, to match racing events and Olympic events and all the stuff that kids get to do today, especially in our beloved sport. And here they are now, who would have thought, racing in the Middle East, particularly in Saudi Arabia.
Well, that's a grand experience.
It is a grand experience. So bravo Zulu to them, and hopefully they're in the top 8 going forward. That is the American team along with the Kiwis and the Aussies, and that looks like the Italians as well are going to be strong, or the French rather, and the Italians. But it's quite an event, and it does look like, Julia, the Middle East is going to be in the future of our sport a lot. I don't know if Saudi Arabia, this is clearly, some people call it sport washing, other people call it other stuff, but very clearly it's a bit of a worry when we have events in countries that we are not so keen on, right?
Yep.
Not so keen on, and some of their human rights issues, but we're not perfect either here in the U.S. And we do events here, and we do events in other places in the world that aren't perfect as well. Thanks, Justin Callahan, for that. It does look like we're going to be seeing more sports in Saudi Arabia, and not just, tell me what, Julia? Not just sailing, but golf, tennis, horse racing.
Yes.
And yes, of course, they're bringing these sports to help bring them into the modern world, both from a PR standpoint, but also from a cultural standpoint.
Yes.
You saw that knot tying demonstration there in the video. What do you think of the America's Cup going to the Middle East after this? I mean, there's apparently $200 million on offer.
I think it probably will.
You think it's good? You think it's okay?
I think it's inevitable.
Inevitable. Clark Chapin says, money buys respect, if not respectability. There's a good line from our Fozy Clark Chapin.
Yes.
Who else has got a thought? If you accept the venue, inevitably the sport will change too, Graham Sweeney is saying. I know he's not a big fan of the Middle East. John Emmett, we need sailing. This is John. Coach Emmett, we need sailing to be a truly worldwide sport. He, of course, married to the first Olympic gold medalist from China, Lily Zhu, Golden Lily.
Yep.
and at least first gold medalist in our sport in a boat, not a board. There was a Hong Kong.
Oh, was there?
Yeah. That's what other comments. Tom Eamon says, follow the money. Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
For good, bad, or otherwise. All the races we lost, we're winning. Cover, cover, cover. Is American Magic curious if Kevin is willing to peddle a recumbent? I don't know what that means.
Recumbent. What?
If Kevin is willing to peddle a recumbent. I don't know. Stanford 3, San Jose State 7.
Yes.
Julia, right up there at the top of the comments.
I acknowledge that.
And the comments going down there at the bottom. Sailing is just following F1. Next is Baku in the stands.
Oh.
Gordon says, I think anything that brings a greater understanding of different cultures is a good thing. J. Frederick Bland, culture will have to change in the Middle East so that of more tolerance of other cultures and religions and women and gay boys and girls. The way they're treated is not correct. And the way women are treated is still not correct. First Olympic gold dinghy medalist. Thank you, John Emmett, talking about his beloved wife and our Fozy. Golden Lily. The AC is not a Middle East event. Should not happen there. Ted Ryman feels strongly. Stingray, watch the Sail GP turnout in Auckland. It is already sold out. Yes. Yes, it is. And they're going to be back. Sail GP is back in the Middle East for their final event this year. Sport washing. Fritz Mueller is not amused. Rick Banero, now camel racing. That is closely followed in the KSA. Sailing, not so much. Well, we'll see.
True.
Yeah, it is true. And motorboat racing, true, is a much bigger deal than sail racing, yacht racing. John Emmett feels strong. We need to bring sailing to the Middle East. Graham Sweeney, if it is to be a world sport, countries like China cannot pick and choose the sports that will only return a win. It's an interesting comment by Graham Sweeney. Is Jeddah capable of supporting a friendly competition between nations? Alex Hayworth is saying. Well, asking. Andy Cox, how many Saudi sailors can you name? Well, Andy, none right now, but maybe with our sport being competed there, more events, dare I say regattas.
No.
Regattas. But Clay Embley's agreeing with Alex Hayworth. Great point. But you're never going to name any sailors until they have some, like this kid that just was on that video.
Yeah.
And hopefully he learns and gets inspired and goes to other events outside of Saudi Arabia.
Right.
We shall soon see. Speaking of the Middle East, let's go back to Sail GP last weekend when that event was held in DXB. Somebody corrected me and said the airport code is DBX. No, it is not. It is DXB, and I've double and triple checked. That event won by the Kiwis, who seem to like the Middle East. And the headline from an interview that Pete Burling did after a win here in the last couple of days, we talked about this at length on Tuesday, their win last weekend. But we pulled out our best sail at the end, Pete Burling said, of their victory in Dubai. And look at that. Speaking of Fozy and Gov Cup alum, three-time runner-up of the Gov Cup there in the middle.
Yep.
Who I wouldn't be all surprised if he's with the America's Cup team next time. Young Leo Takahashi. Leonard, a.k.a. Leo. And there's Pete on the left and Blair Tuke on the right. And for Leo to be sitting with Pete's arm around him.
Both of them, yeah.
You know, the flight controller, Blair's the wing trimmer.
Yeah.
And having, look at the smile on his face, on Leo's face. That was fabulous.
Yeah.
And this was from the article about their win when Pete was he was just, talking about their win. He says the win in Dubai marked the third consecutive victory for the Kiwis in the Middle Eastern venues, with the team winning both Dubai and Abu Dhabi in season 4. Looking ahead to the 2025 season grand finale, which will take place in Abu Dhabi for the first time, Burling was optimistic about the team's chances. And he said, quote, "We seem to love these Middle Eastern events. That's 3 on the trot for us now in this part of the world, so I'm definitely excited by that grand final being in a different spot and making sure we can take a win in Abu Dhabi." That's the end of his quote. Looking ahead for the rest of the season, Burling said he was super excited to return to New Zealand for the league's upcoming Auckland debut on January 18, 19, 2025. And as several of you said, it is already sold out, Julia.
Yes.
Ryman agrees that's a great picture. Yeah, Ted, that is a terrific
It is.
picture. Pedro, Foiling Sailor, is back. He's on commenting.
Good.
Ed Worley likes that picture as well. So do I.
Yeah, I do too.
And I'll tell you, there are these kids, they give great hope to the future of the world, Julia, because you talk about what a nice kid Jeffrey Peterson is, and Josh Wijan, who sailed with Leo, and Leonard Takahashi, and Cole Tapper is a gentleman. I mean, you could put Cole Tapper there in your chair or my chair.
Right.
And okay, maybe he can't push the buttons and do some of the stuff, but he's a gentleman and articulate and bright. So too is Timothy Rossi.
Oh, yes.
Just astonishing human beings and kids, and great sports, and great, I think, ambassadors for our sport going forward, including and especially to places like Jeddah, like Saudi Arabia. So hopefully that will.
Yeah, that will bring real results.
One can only hope. Nice politically appropriate comment by Pete Blake Middleton. Ever the sharp man that he is, Blake is also reading the tea leaves. It's sounding to me, Julie, like there is more Middle Eastern sailing in our future, including, I keep saying, AC38.
I know.
As much as I'd like to see it in Newport, Rhode Island, not going there unless and until New York wins it.
Yes.
Not going to Cowes unless and maybe not even Cowes, maybe Portsmouth, who knows where, unless and until the Brits win it. I'll say this, and if Magnus the Magnificent is watching, Julia.
Yes.
He just wrote an article and quoting Ben Ainsley about the snarky journalists who were, one of whom was calling for him not to be on the boat.
I wonder who that was.
But I will tell you this, and I've said it now publicly. I'm going to say it publicly. If the Brits don't find Sir Jim Ratcliffe, is not funding the team this time. He's already shot his wad. He's going to fund it to a small degree, and Ben's got to go out and raise the rest of that money.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't, will the Royal Yacht Squadron even have a team? They're the Challenger of Record, but it wouldn't be the first time that the Challenger of Record didn't front up. 1992, the challenge when I was running the Cup, the first time or the second time I was running the Cup in San Diego, the Challenger of Record was the Yacht Club de France.
Right.
They didn't mount a team. They didn't marshal the resources to have a team, and they didn't front up. That engendered the Challenger of Record Committee. We had a group of challengers, and we agreed at San Diego. I helped form it. It was Dr. Stan Reed from Royal Perth Yacht Club.
Right.
And that sort of worked.
Yeah.
Now, we had a Challenger Commission in 2007 when we, Golden Gate Yacht Club, were ostensibly the Challenger of Record. Of course, we had a team. And then Hamish Ross and I came up with the concept of a Challenger Commission. Everybody on the commission, one vote per team. I chaired the first year, and then a couple others chaired it beyond that.
Mm.
And that worked. We fought within the Challenger Commission, but we were a strong, tight-knit group, and we weren't at the beck and call of just the Challenger of Record doing private deals with the Defender. And that is, one hears, that is everyone's major concern about AC38, is that Grant Dalton will go off again and run it not only by himself, but run roughshod over the Royal Yacht Squadron, and Bertie Bickett, who is a good guy, nice guy, the chairman of the Royal Yacht Squadron Limited. Okay, so this is all in play. And who knows if they'll even front up with a team. We'll see. I hope they do.
Yes.
Want the Brits in. I want Sir Ben in. I hope Sir Ben will get off the boat and let Dylan Fletcher drive along with somebody else. But we shall see. Okay, that'll get some people yammering in the comments.
Yes.
Tariffs, they're talking about tariff. I'll tell you this, tariffs and nuclear weapons, they can be great deterrents. And if the nation that wants to use them, I hope these guys are not escalating. We're not on the nonstop escalator in the middle, in Ukraine and Russia and the U.S. and stupid things being done by our leadership in Washington, D.C. I said this I'm not going to repeat it. I said it on the show on Tuesday. Let's think about good thoughts in the sport and not other things. Yeah, Hawkinson, a group is one of my favorite comments. So here's another nice comment, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Yet another gorgeous scarf for Commodore Julia today. Blake Middleton, always the gentleman, says.
Oh, thank you, Blake.
I agree with Andrew Pindar. It's time for a combined Scarborough challenge.
Yeah, there we go.
I think Andrew he could marshal the resources and get people together and get a good sailing team from the UK. That would be great. Mm-hmm. Gordon Smith wants to combine it with Derbyshire. Derbyshire, right? Isn't that how that's pronounced?
I think so. But I don't really know.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. How can RYS be COR if they are not participating in the AC sailing? Well, we'll see. I think they will be. Clark Chapin, as my college roommate says some 55 years ago, when the revolution comes, we're going to fix all that. Now he's a retired chiropractor in Fresno here in California.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a message for all of us.
Oh, my goodness, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there were other times when the Challenger record didn't front up, that club. So it's not the only time. It was in 92, more recently. We'll go into that another time. John Emmett, Lily always used to hold my left hand and twist my wrist when she wanted my attention. True story.
Aha.
I was going to make a fouler joke than that, or a foul joke, John. I'm not going to ask you which hand you used to lift your pint. See? I was polite, Julia.
You were.
Shall we carry on? This day in history, Julia.
Okay.
What happened on Black Friday in 1869? Here is your first and only clue. Do you know who these gentlemen are? Jay Gould. These were robber barons in every sense of the word. This is only 18 years after the first America's Cup. Yeah. And they were called Black Friday's conspirators. Black Friday isn't just a recent phenom. It actually goes back to 1869. Jay Gould, the railroad developer and speculator, and Jim Fisk, the stockbroker and speculator, and Julia, they tried to corner the gold market back in our post-Civil War era, and President Grant stopped it. And that's how the first Black Friday came about. It had nothing to do with shopping on the day after Thanksgiving. Here's the video.
When you think of Black Friday, you probably think of discounted prices, the long lineups, and the unofficial start of the holiday shopping season. But the term Black Friday, it wasn't always about shopping.
Black Friday is a term that's been in use for quite a long time to refer generally to negative events that happen to fall on a Friday.
That's Ben Zimmer. He's a language columnist for the Wall Street Journal. He says one of the big first usage of the term Black Friday was in 1869.
There were a couple of investors, Jay Gould and James Fisk, who tried to corner the gold market, and it led to a financial panic. And so that day in 1869 was called Black Friday.
There's no concrete evidence on who coined the term Black Friday, or when it even started being used to describe the day after U.S. Thanksgiving. But a lot of evidence points to the 1950s.
The very earliest example that's been found so far by a researcher named Bonnie Taylor Blake comes from a journal, a sort of a trade journal called Factory Management and Maintenance. And that goes back all the way to 1951. At the time, it refers to Black Friday as the day after Thanksgiving, but it has nothing to do with shopping at that point. In fact, back then, it has to do with worker absenteeism. Basically, factories had trouble getting their workers to show up on the day after Thanksgiving. If they got the Thursday off, then they would just want to take off the Friday as well.
This is Bonnie Taylor Blake, the researcher Ben was referring to. In her research, Bonnie writes that police in Philadelphia were referring to the days following Thanksgiving as Black Friday because they were considered the biggest shopping days. Not only that, Ben adds people descended into the city for the Army-Navy football game that happened on the Saturday.
Local police officers would refer to this day as Black Friday because it gave them so many headaches dealing with all of that traffic, both sort of foot traffic and car traffic, and police had to deal with all of that.
So, when did Black Friday become the chaotic shopping scene we see today? Both Ben and Bonnie say that retailers and workers didn't like the negative connotation of the term Black Friday and even tried to rebrand it as Big Friday, but that didn't catch on. But a myth started circulating about the origin story of Black Friday, so retailers played into it.
There's a very common myth that has been in circulation since the 1980s pretty much, that Black Friday actually refers to retail stores, retail companies become profitable. They go in the black, and that's why they're called Black Fridays.
So thanks to that myth, retailers were able to put a positive spin on the term and reinvent it to the Black Friday we see today.
And it's been so successful that we see online retailers trying to spin off Black Friday into other shopping days. So there's Cyber Monday, for instance.
Regardless of its origins, Black Friday is now a popular day for retailers.
And now you know. Huh? I thought that was a nice video.
It was.
With a nice jazz ending.
Yes.
You know how we like jazz.
Yeah.
Jazz on this show, right?
You're right.
Yeah, Ed Worley, I was wondering about language columnists as well. Most of you, or not most of you, a lot of you knew about the gold panic right after the America's Cup, only 18 years after AC0 and a year before AC1, 1870. So it was 1869, Julie. Who would have known?
Yes. Well, I think that was done by political somebodies before that, though.
No, I think that's the first reference they could find in the media and beyond, and in books and so on. So there you have it. Who would have known? I didn't know. Mm-hmm. Now we got a John Emmons wants to go to the pub, but he doesn't want to leave before seeing this terrific AA. And it's really apropos our sport and making friends in different countries. And who better than Alistair Murray to have this kind of a report on our Thanksgiving weekend. And we call it Alistair's Awesome Aussie Anecdote.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. This is Alistair with AAAA, my Awesome Aussie Anecdote from Meetung again. I've been sitting here today recording a few fireside chats. John Emmett likes to go for a walk and talk. I find it a little bit easier just to sit in the quiet in a comfy chair and have a bit of a chat. So on these AAAAs, I've featured a few different people, and I thought I'd chat about one of my friends and about friendships in general today. And you know, I've met some great characters along the way, and this guy is certainly one. Many years ago, I became aware of a guy in Bermuda, actually, who was very much part of the sailing scene. I saw he was a sailor. I read about him in some press, and I thought he was instrumental in the formation of the Bermuda Optimist Association. I think he was the president of the Optimist Dinghy Association, that in his son, Sam, was actually a very promising and good opti sailor. I phoned him to introduce myself, and when I did, he was pretty blown away, and he said, yes, he said, I've always wanted to hear from you, and we had a fantastic conversation. One could ask why I would choose somebody just by name and reach out to them by phone and introduce myself and try to forge a relationship. I mean, this guy said he's always wanted to be a friend of mine. Anyway, the reason I did, very, very simple. His name, ladies and gentlemen, is Ron Stan. Ronald Stan is his name, Ron Stan. So anyway, I might have mentioned in another AAAA that I enjoy rum, and I had this fantastic collection of rum at home with about 50, I think it was 55 different rums at one stage. Imagine my delight when I strike up this friendship with Ron Stan, and I get an email from him in response to my phone call, and his email address is ronstan@bacardi.com. Thought I'd died and gone to heaven. Couldn't believe it. So now we exchanged care packages. I sent him some Ron Stan flags and shirts and stickers, and he he travelled around the world plastering his name all over the place, leaving stickers behind and having a great time. He really does enjoy his connection through his name. Imagine my delight a few weeks later when I received a pet care package, and it was 3 cases of a variety of Bacardi rums. Couldn't believe my luck. So there, we communicated for a number of years, and then a few years ago I said to my wife Tracy, I said, we need to go to meet him. We need to go meet Ron. So I phoned him up again. I said, Ron, I'm coming to stay with you. So we rocked up in Bermuda, and we stayed at his beautiful home in their pool house with Ron and Sue Stan. We went sailing together, and I'll send you some photos of that. So it was Ron Stan, sailing with Ron Stan. And I've had a fantastic time enjoying my friendship. We're lifelong friends now, and we've remained that way, friends for life. And I've sent many friends his way. I've sent many people to Bermuda, particularly during the America's Cup, to go and get to know him. So I've sent a number of fantastic people Ron's way. The next on the agenda for me is hopefully to have a visit from Ron Stan and Sue here in Australia. I've got this wonderful home on the lake at Meetung, which I keep mentioning. Ron and Sue Stan are definitely going to be here one day. They'll be special guests, and I might just go out of this AAAA by mentioning that if any other of the Fosey or yourself, Tom, want to head this way down under, there's always a bed in Meetung for you. That's an open offer for all Fosey.
Uh-oh.
What's great about this sport of ours? It's the friendships we make. It's the connections we make along the way. We're lucky people. That's it for me from AAAA for this week. Cheers, over and out. Bye.
Nice, eh, Julia?
Absolutely.
There's the theme song, Waltzing Matilda.
Yeah.
And it makes that kind of nice marching band music. It makes me think of the Army-Navy game. We talked about that, J. Frederick Bland, and we saw that in the video. J. Frederick Bland, that should be a good game. The Army's undefeated, aren't they? And Navy's having a pretty good year.
I haven't kept track of them.
But regardless, this idea of
yes,
Alistair's to go just call somebody out of the blue and say, hey, I'm Ron Stan, manufacturing Ron Stan Pity Limited. What a great guy.
Yes.
Great stuff. Cheers, Alistair. Another cool AAA. Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. Julia.
Yeah, no, it's an ideal to repeat.
Ideal to repeat. Well, we got to get, now that we've had Pedro Foiling Sailor here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, we better get Alistair here sometime soon. He knows a lot of guys here in San Francisco, too. It'd be fun, don't you think?
It would.
Okay, Army lost this week to Notre Dame. Rick Bannero is saying, okay, so they've lost one. Ed Worley, go Navy, beat Army. You can see in the U.S. it's maybe not quite as big a deal, Julia, as Michigan and Ohio State, who play this weekend, the big rivals in college football. But we're talking about yacht racing. We get off on all these tangents. Another one of Tom's terrible tangents.
Yes, right.
Thank God we're to the last leg. We're an hour and 23 minutes here into the show, Julia, the last leg, and we're going to go back to the Vendée Globe because we can't. We got to honor this guy, Conrad Coleman, right? We got to honor him. And we want to end on an up note that was such a sort of semi-depressing video with Boris Herman and slatting around in the no wind. But this one, this guy, you got to love him. He's like Cole Bauer. What was her name? Brower, right? We got to get her
I think.
We got to get her on the show.
Yes.
And talk about an upbeat. This is 3 minutes of fun.
This is Vendée sailing. It's so cool. Wow. Absolutely wow. Just perfect conditions. This is so beautiful. Full sun, 20 knots of wind, 20 knots of boat speed. Big Spinnaker J3 full main, just absolutely hammering along. This is beautiful. And it's pretty welcome too, because I've had a tough couple of nights. Last night I got clobbered by a cloud, and yesterday I was with Benjamin Ferré, and just I was on the Code Zero and couldn't match them on speed or angle, and then got walloped by a couple of clouds, and I'm sort of ended up a little bit on the south side of the fleet now, and I guess I'm trying to push my advantage here with the Spinnaker with the good conditions, and they're all going to jibe down towards me soon, so it's a little bit tricky now that I'm back in the pack, figuring out how tactically to deal with that. And then obviously it can be frustrating when you're so close to somebody and they get the good side of the cloud and you get the bad side of the cloud, and then you see on the tracker a couple of hours later that they've just monstered you. Well, that's hard on the nerves, to be fair. It's really hard trying to balance the short-term fleet tactics of, do I want to be just on the north side or the south side or the east or the west of this boat in particular, against the long-term strategic goals of positioning myself in the big weather systems. And so for the moment I'm sort of playing the long game and not really paying attention to where the fleet is, but trying to position myself the best for the big systems. And then actually, it's the clouds and the individual rain showers that decide whether you diverge or whether you converge with the fleet. Now, what I've seen now is that looks like Tanguy got monstered yesterday by the clouds. So did I. Benjamin Ferré was on the good side. At night, you can't see him. It's just a matter of luck. So best not to get too worried about it and focus on the big picture and on the speed right now in this moment. So it's pretty cool.
Neat.
That's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah.
Upbeat, positive.
Yeah.
Apparently Cole, Commodore Atkins is saying, Cole is delivering her boat to Australia with another gal from France. Wow, okay.
All right.
There seems too many hairs in this tortoise race, Graham. See, well, there's 40 teams, and, none of them is perfect. And in fact, I think we have a new leader. Didn't I just see up in the comments above that we've had a change in the lead, at least according to the official tracker? Didn't I see that? Where is it? Oh, there's a lot of comments too about the guy who's involved in the various booze. Graham Sweeney, Alistair, if anyone called Peter Harkin and asked to be your friend and need some cash, don't click on it. It's a con. Oh, but there it is. Tanqueray and Bombay Gin. Apparently Bacardi owns them as well as other spirits. Good friends to have, Lance Burke. And I thought somebody said that we had a new leader in the race. Otherwise, the Vendée Globe, but who knows? Any way to message Conrad that he needs to go east? Well, you can't get outside assistance, right? You're supposed to do their own weather, isn't it? We decided that the other day. Blake Middleton agrees he's got a great laugh and a great smile while enjoying his high-speed sail.
Yes.
Sounds like it's super close now, John Emmett is saying. And sail world, there's Richard Gladwell. Hello, Richard. Expecting to see a new record for fully crewed out of the upcoming low, provided it is saleable. And Richard's been doing that tracking. Send us your info on that, if you would, please, Richard, and we'll use it on Tuesday's show if you give us an update on what you think how the fleet is vis-a-vis the record, crewed or otherwise. I mean, single-handed or crewed.
Yeah.
Alan Long, yes, Cole Brower on the show. She sold Morning Light to a woman. It wasn't Morning Light. It was what was the name of her boat? Something else, wasn't it? To a woman in Oz. I think her name is Tucker. She'll be sailing in the next Round the World race.
Mm-hmm.
Seb Simon, is that the lady's name? John Emmett seems to think. Cool stuff. And that final video, of course, courtesy of the Vendée Globe and Conrad Coleman, the Kiwi, who is now an American. I mean, he's once a Kiwi, always a Kiwi, right, Julia?
Right.
Which gets us, Conrad, what is it? Conrad is 200 nautical miles behind Pip, who is 200 nautical miles behind Charlie Delan.
Yeah.
Sanford's trailing 10-14 now, J. Frederick Landis saying.
Things have improved.
I didn't know there were so many fans of the Army-Navy.
Of course.
Army-Navy game. I guess a lot of guys who were either in the Army or the Navy.
Everybody who is either in the Army or the Navy has a opinion about that.
Cole sold her boat to Elizabeth Tucker. They leave Sunday to head to Oz, according. First Light, that's the right, not Morning Light. First Light. Thanks, Ted Ryman. Name of her boat. Sebastian Simon. Oh, there we go. That was the comment by John Emmett. Sebastian Simon has taken the lead, but only by 7/10. Okay, that's hardly a change of lead when they're probably so far apart laterally, side to side. Who knows? But it's neck and neck. It's a close race, and we'll follow it each and every show. And it gets us to the D block with our Whiskey Tango Fox. Now, Julia, you got to love this first one.
Okay, I'm ready.
It's clean.
Turnabout's fair play.
Turnabout is fair play. You know who sent that?
No.
Graham Sweeney.
Oh, how lovely.
And that is lovely. And of course, you all, what'd that painting sell for?
$6 million.
Was it?
And he ate the.
He ate the banana. Did he really, or was that just a story? He did.
No. He took it.
I want to see the video.
He replaced it to make it fresher.
Oh, come on!
And it was just taped on.
Did you see that? Is you sure that wasn't an internet meme? Some of the stuff you look at and see on the internet, Julia. Okay, is that a Banksy? No, that was that painting. I don't know. Did you see it, Lance Burke? Back on the Vendée Globe. Average speeds last night for Dallin were consistently at 25 knots, and I think the polar we are using is undercooked. That's what Richard Gladwell says. Vendée Globe, like the Tour de France, great exposure for It is, Fritz Mueller, I agree. This is great exposure for the art world.
Yes.
I'm sure you all saw that, right? It was the banana taped.
You better explain it.
I better get a picture of that for the Tuesday show. We'll do that on the Tuesday show. Okay, Julia, this is my favorite of the three I think we've got today. Cooking tip: if you stir coconut oil or olive oil, for that matter, into your kale, it makes it easier to scrape it into the trash. Huh?
Yes.
I knew you'd like that.
Yes.
The vegetable lover that you are not. It was Clark Chapin's comment. The banana gets replaced at intervals. I guess the owner gets to do whatever he wants with a discarded banana.
Oh, yes. All right.
I don't know, but once you replace the banana, it should go brown, and then that should be part of the... Did you see all those posts about patina green on my Facebook page?
Yes.
I mean, who would have known there were so many cars and other things that were patina green over the years? This doesn't quite look patina green, but...
No.
God, I am not a fan of kale. I don't know why. It's not a big. Ted Ryman sent that. Thank you, Ted. And finally, for the drinking show with the sailing habit, this from Clayton Embley. Do alcoholics run? Miss Piggy saying, in your family. And Kermit the Froggy says no. They sail.
That's lovely.
Clayton Embley, thank you for that, sir.
That's lovely.
Does that mean free bananas for life? Graham Sweeney wants to know that.
Get to buy them yourself.
Yeah. And Gordon Smith reminds us the proper name for that color is eau de Nil. Nil?
Yeah.
What does that mean, Julia? I mean, it's French.
For nothing.
Nothing? Eau de nothing?
Yeah.
Nil means nil.
Yeah.
Got it. Kale is bitter. In nature, many bitter foods are poisonous, hence why babies often don't like bitter food. Well, I must be a baby.
I was going to say I never grew out of that.
I don't like kale either, Julia.
I don't like lots of greens taste very bitter to me.
I love spinach, but it gives me a bad stomach. I think the banana concept has been sold out for dollars. New owners have to replace with their own banana. Banana.
Right.
Kermit, it ain't easy being patina. I got to go back to that. It ain't easy being patina green. Well done. Well done.
Yes.
Fog machine, that was well done. The color of the Nile. Is that what that means?
No, it doesn't.
No. Plants are toxic to keep from being eaten. Yes, they do.
That's right.
They are indeed. Stick to carnivore. If anybody wants to break into the Beach Street Yacht Club Wi-Fi. The SSID is BSYC,
Mm-hmm.
and the password is Carnivore. In your honor,
Oh,
capital
yes.
C Carnivore.
Oh, yes.
We'll change it now immediately. Okay, that gets us, Julie, to the finish line. Thank goodness. This show at an hour and 35 minutes on this Black Friday. We've been celebrating it. And Julia, you like to see.
Yes, please like, follow, and share. Just click the button and share with your own followers, friends.
It reminds me of a dirty joke. Don't get me started on cilantro.
I love cilantro.
I do too. But it still reminds me of a dirty joke my dad tells. Clark Chapin will know the joke. What's the difference? But I'm not going to tell it. You would think poorly, even more poorly of me than you already do, Julia. Comments are welcome.
Please.
Even in replay. And we appreciate very much those of you who give us $1 or $2 or $5 a month to help keep us on the air and to pay the Restream.io bill in the past couple of days to keep us on the air so we can co-stream to YouTube and Facebook. And that seems to be working. It seems to be popular. So we'll keep doing that with your help. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Thank you very much for your support. Also, thanks to those of you who let us have audio, video, and images for today's show. Julia, final thoughts as we show that credit slide.
Thanks to James Reddick Bland for keeping me up to date on the Stanford game.
Well, that was nice.
Yes.
Mark Holland says thanks. He's going to go shopping now. You see that?
Yes.
I'm not. My only shopping, I never like going to malls. I'm too old to go to malls. That was Gen what? That was the millennial Gen, right?
Oh, well.
The millennials and Gen Z and
Yeah.
Gen whatever, Gen X and Gen Z.
Oh,
did you go to malls? You never went to malls,
No,
did you?
I
didn't
didn't.
either. I'm too old for that. I like letting my fingers do. Remember that old ad for Yellow
Do the
Pages?
walking.
Let your fingers do the walking in the Yellow Pages when you used to open up the back of the phone book in the
Right.
pre-internet days, the pre-digital days, and you'd look through the Yellow Pages.
Sure.
I haven't looked through I even thought about the Yellow Pages in 30 years, I don't think.
Oh.
25 anyway.
Oh.
How can you? You can get and that lady died, the lady after whom Alice was right. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant.
Yeah.
You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Who sang that? Walk right in, it's around the back. Or around the block? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Huh?
I can't remember.
Arlo? Or Woody?
Woody.
Guthrie. Alice Brock, she died. Arlo Guthrie sang that song. Thank you, Clark Chapin. Thank you, Alan Long. Great show again. Thanks to you, Ted Ryman. Keep that fleet going safely past you, Ted, as they go around the Cape. Arlo Guthrie, everybody knows that.
Yes.
And she apparently died. What was her name? Alice what? Alice Brock. Clark Chapin's got the answer to that. Thanks again to everybody who gave us the media for today's show. Let us borrow their media, including those kids in Jeddah. And if any of the other kids are watching this, or the parents are watching this live replay of Cole or Josh or any of the others besides Jeffrey and the American team want to send us things for Tuesday's show, send us, media for Tuesday's show, we'll gladly use it. And thanks again to all of you who sent us.
And you can in turn use it for your parents.
Well, they have and it's a nice thing. The parents, at least the American parents, and I'm sure the others do as well.
Yeah.
It's like I guess I can say this now, Alistair. I'm not giving away any confidences, but Alistair Murray and the Aussies had a fabulous a group text going during the Olympics. And of course, the Aussies were doing well, and they celebrated each and every race win and every medal.
Oh, how nice.
And prize givings. And the people who were there, like Alistair, were sending pictures to the others who were back in Oz. And that is a nice way to celebrate an event, a regatta of any stripe.
Yes.
And that's what the American parents are doing with this thing that's going on in KSA. And I'm sure the Aussie and Kiwi parents and others are as well. It's a nice way to conduct our sports. Nice way to conduct our sport, having friends and family like all of you, our foes who watch us. Thank you very much. We hope you all, wherever in the world you are, have a great rest of your weekend. It's already underway down under And it's getting started here. Of course, we had a long weekend. It started really Wednesday night with our 4-day Thanksgiving weekend. Hope you have a great rest of whatever it is you're doing. See you on Tuesday, same time, same channel, same time, same channel. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.